they put their faces and their likenesses on
Hello,
the
hello, hello, hello.
show and
I'm making food. I already started. I already rinsed off the chickpeas, and I'm listening to Alyssa Grunfeld. So, hello.
It's so frustrating to see them play that.
Hi, welcome. Welcome.
I've honestly seen a lot of the same sentiments
Hello.
around my videos where people will say,
Are you there?
Watching Alyssa's videos actually strengthened my faith
Hello.
and made me stronger in the church. And little does she know, she's telling more people about the gospel. And it's like,
it's supposed to be just a
can
little...
I get some gratitude for that, please? Because you guys clearly are sending me lots of negativity.
Hello,
but then you're like, oh, but she's one of the greatest missionaries the church has ever had. And I'm like, if you really believe that, where's the gratitude? If you really actually believe that my videos are helping people join the church, why not show them?
Some dishes to wash for later already. Hello. Hello there.
Obviously, because that's a coat. It's not actually true. But they want to have this like upper hand where they're always right, they're always in their position. And so they kind of transform the thinking to be like, well, Alyssa's actually really helping the bottom line of the church. Which if that's true, I expect a little more
3 bags of green tea here.
It's so funny to watch them kind of want to have the upper hand in all
have 3
this,
cups, so
while also wanting to claim that they're like heavily persecuted by these shows. These shows are great for business, but they're also a misrepresentation of Elvis faith. There's another example of
Alyssa Grunfeld's in the background. That's good.
Persecuted, but it's also really good business for us. Type of
so
thinking.
This water is boiled, so I'm gonna put it in here.
Of course, Hollywood makes a horror movie about us, which we get referrals from.
Okay, I'm
Thank
turning
you.
up
So
the heat
obviously
to boil
she's
the
referring
water
to Heretic,
to boil
a
the
movie
eggs.
with Hugh Grant. I reacted to that
Okay.
here, and she's like,
That's enough
Hollywood made a
for
movie
the
about
eggs.
us, but it worked out for us in the end.
Hello.
And there's this place where even though
Chickpeas
the world's trying to get us down, we're always going to have the upper hand. And so here's
Turning up to boil more
Thank
water.
you for the conversion
This is almost
opportunity.
boiling already.
Let's contrast that
Get some of these
with
things out
the other
here.
side of the Mormon coin. This is an op-ed from the Deseret News, a newspaper owned by the Mormon Church, and this is published by the editor of the Deseret News, Sarah Jane Weaver, and the title is "Drawing on the Purity of Latter-day Saint Missionaries to Sell."
Hey, hello.
How this horror movie mocks faith.
Do you want to cook with me?
Below if you want to go through it
I'm
yourself,
making soft-boiled
get your own
eggs.
opinions. But in my analysis of this,
anyone know how to do soft-boiled eggs? I do mine for 5 minutes.
Not a fan of the movie, and
So
it's
boil
crazy
the
to me
water.
how often this happens in Mormon culture, where like
And
Heretic
so I
actually
have a spoon,
leads to
plug
more
that
conversions.
into
Thanks for
there.
that. But also, why are
But it's not boiling yet, so oatmeal. I'm not using the oatmeal.
In the name of entertainment,
So what I like to do is get my spices and everything ready here.
And I just don't understand how these two things can be true.
Spices.
It's
Got this. Does anyone cook with this? Red quinoa. You have to rinse it first. I rinse it with this. I put a cup of it in here and I rinse it for 1 minute. So I'll do that right now. Yeah.
Between claiming the victory and having to claim how horrible
I have Alyssa Grunfeld in the background. Is anyone familiar with her?
They want
Alyssa Grunfeld.
On both sides.
She's a YouTuber.
And in a recent interview with the BBC, Jesse and Whitney actually spoke to this whole like, you're welcome for the conversions that apparently you say that we're bringing to you.
How to do
That, like, I'm gonna take the missionary
1 red quinoa. Yeah, just 1.
I wasn't freaking out that
Let's hear
That's
stats
funny.
from when the show came.
So yeah, so I get my little mesh baggie.
Just seeing that and
Plunk
hearing
it in
like,
here.
hey, apparently we're having people join this church because of the show, and also having so much hate, directed toward them, especially on the internet.
I want to get every last one out, you know what I mean?
They deserve an apology.
I will
insert here
waste.
that joining the church after seeing the show
I
is kind
don't
of
know why
crazy
they get
to
like
me,
kind of. Well, I guess it's plastic, so it
it's
gets a
like
little
a pretty
staticky.
dysfunctional experience to be a Mormon or ex-Mormon.
So my water's
and people
boiling
actually got
now
a
for
few
the
weeks ago.
eggs.
Like people are like,
So I'll quickly go over there because then it's on a timer and it's
and honestly, if you know all of this
So
and you still
grab
want to join the church,
spoon.
and you watch these women
Can you
and
see?
their somewhat dysfunctional lives,
you
and you
can
still
yeah.
want to join the church,
So then I just put it 1 at a time.
more power to
1,
you. Live the
2,
life that you choose.
3,
And feel like knowing
4,
about
5,
church's racism,
6 of
sexism,
September for
homophobia,
5
and
minutes.
Joseph Smith had
And then immediately when it's 5 minutes,
women and children,
that has to go into the cold bath. So the chickpeas are already rinsed off from the cat. Oh, I'm gonna need a bigger bowl. This bowl actually is not really good. Thanks for liking, everyone. Oh yeah, Red. I just recently tried Red. Pay Up Productions LLC.
I'm gonna post it right here. This is what everybody's swarming about.
Yeah. So here we go.
A lot of us LDS
So that's
influencers aren't even
boiling.
on the map.
This needs to be rinsed for 1 minute.
For being Mormon, being LDS.
And then this needs to soak because it had cacao in it.
She goes on to basically
So,
credit for
yeah.
the views and the
1,
engagement, which is also
2,
the same thing
3,
Jasmine said.
4,
Jasmine said,
5,
like the old cliche
6,
that all publicity is
7,
good publicity.
8,
And I'll say too,
9,
on this
10,
content creator's
11,
Instagram post,
12,
Taylor commented,
13,
thank you, this means a lot.
14,
I mean, obviously, the
15,
same sentiment goes for my
16,
some of my
17,
highest viewed videos
18,
are about the show.
19,
And so
20,
I feel like
21,
to trash
2,
on women, call them
3,
whores and sluts,
24,
to call them
5,
evil or
26,
just that they're liars,
27,
like
28,
I've seen so
29,
much anger
30,
swirling
31,
towards them.
32,
And I do
33,
feel to some extent
34,
like seeing
35,
now by season 4,
36,
there's like this almost like
37,
waking up period where people are like, first of all, the show
39,
is going anywhere.
40,
Hating on it
41,
doesn't seem to be like
42,
making it go away.
43,
And so now there's like
44,
this turnaround moment of being
45,
like, you know,
46,
maybe we should have thought
47,
through this better, which is
48,
why I also say the church is
49,
not
50,
it's not like they
51,
out the gate were like,
52,
let's
53,
figure out how to use this to
54,
our advantage. Let's figure out how to
55,
work with these women.
56,
Let's figure out how to
57,
use this in a way that
58,
is positive.
59,
Instead, the church is just
60.
silent.
Okay,
The members
so
are
now that
angry.
is.
And now in season 4.
So what I'll do is I'll put it in here. So
we might as well be like, oh,
see,
it is what it is.
Okay,
Thanks for
I
the
want to
engagement.
get some dish
Especially
soap
since the chef is really only
and then wash up this bowl.
The show
One-handed.
I keep saying that for like that's a lot of seasons to pump out in a short amount of time. And to see that
Okay.
shift happen from like
This is kind of a challenge extra right now. I don't know.
thanks for the missionary opportunities. The men's talk effect, like it is kind of
Whew,
crazy to
that one is
see
cold.
everything turn on its head, and now suddenly like
Did everyone have dinner tonight? Chickpeas, yeah, the chickpeas need to go in a bigger bowl. I had a bowl, and for some reason I keep going to it, and I'm like, that's not the right bowl. It's just too small. It's almost the right size, but this is the perfect size. I really want to set this down. Okay. Okay, so that's boiling over there. The eggs are soft boiling right now. Thanks for liking. Thank you. Yeah, so I'll just rinse this bowl. So, what I do now is I put some cumin in the bowl, set that aside, and some garlic powder, and some apple cider vinegar. It's so good. Oh, it's so good. And then some turmeric. And just like kind of, I try to reset it each time. I try to reset it so like I do some twists before I put it away. So that way, said hi, Pay Up Productions LLC. Yeah, I did a little bit. That's good. Some oregano leaves.
so many people have seen,
Yum.
let me use it as an opportunity to tell you about
Okay.
it. So let's get back up and
So, when this is empty, you can start putting things back in here.
Get ready and talk about what really goes on inside our
Stuff that I'm not using anymore,
temples are like
or never did use.
light
Uh-oh,
bulbs,
gotta go. Turn that off right away. I'll just toss these in here now because I didn't do that earlier. The cold water on. Can you see? So I kind of just have the cold water running and eggs in there. And then I just let them go for a while. Okay, back to the chickpeas. This is cayenne pepper. Oh.
And I'll say after watching the video,
Cayenne.
with only a few crumbs, but I feel like she is just sharing what Facebook.
How is everyone doing tonight?
She's, talking about families.
Did everyone have dinner?
It's a holy place. It's a sacred place. There is a lot that happens
Okay,
in a
this
modern
is chili powder.
that we're not allowed to talk about. To read directly from the church website, it says
chili powder. Got the chili powder coming in hot.
The symbols
Chili powder.
associated with temple covenants should not be discussed outside the temple.
Got my eggs cooling off because they need to be
covenant in the temple
cracked.
not to reveal. However, we may discuss the basic purposes and doctrine of temple covenants and ordinances and the spiritual feelings we have in the temple. And so what Mimi is doing here
this
is
needs to be a
essentially
cup
just
of
what we
water.
are allowed to discuss when it comes to
A cup and a half of water.
I feel it's very special. I feel it's very
So I
sacred.
just fill this up.
We make promises with
Get a
God.
cup.
I do think though that's why people are.
And then I just use half of a one cup. Well, a little over it
videos
actually.
about what happens with the temple,
Okay.
the handshake that
And
you learn that you
and some
someday
salt
are
in here.
supposed to use to pass the angels who stand as guards in heaven.
How we
The clothing
doing?
you wear in the
How we
temple,
doing?
what I was photographed
My dinner was
in
broccoli
the
and mac and
wearing.
cheese.
This is what I wore on my wedding day.
I need to practice non-judgment.
With my husband.
Good for you for eating.
And I completely believe her when she says the temple is special. The temple is sacred.
The water needs to boil over here.
Not to me.
And once that's boiling, I'll put the red chickpea,
the temple is a special
the
place,
red
and that's like the most vague thing
quinoa in there.
The temple is holy. The temple is special. The temple is important to me. That's why people feel so betrayed.
Why don't I just mash up the
Because when you grow up
chickpeas?
hearing these like vague sentiments about how it's a great place, and then you go and you're in the prayer circle.
It's kind of better when it's like
and a man is hugging you through a curtain. Yes, that is why a lot of people often leave the church.
It's kind of better when it is
or have a panic attack after the temple ceremony because we're all raised with this temples are special. Temples
when it's in a blender, like a food processor, the food kind of works out
no
better that way.
Specificity around anything
that
actually happens in the temple.
To mash it.
Video about my
this kind of takes the process.
It's my video on YouTube probably because there's so much secrecy around the temple. And if you try to engage a member of the church and talk to them about it, whether it's about the symbols on the garments or what it even is that you like, what's the ceremony like, to be specific, they won't tell you, they choose not to tell you whatever word you want to use there. And obviously they're just following the rules of the church, like I flashed up on the screen. Do not talk about the specifics of the temple. But for me, it just felt like a cult ceremony. I was like, this is a ceremony of a cult. Chanting in unison, making secret promises that I can never reveal. If you go further back in the history of the church, people used to have to promise to kill themselves if they ever revealed anything that happened in the temple as far as the specifics goes. And so for me, it was not a moment, it's not a ritual or a ceremony that made me feel closer to Jesus Christ. It made me feel like I didn't recognize the church that I had been
extra
raised
virgin
in.
olive
And
oil.
temple details aside, like I said, I do feel like
there you go.
Is so
that's not boiling.
And measured and
that's not turned on. Why did no one
tell
me?
I use this to teach people about something.
Hello.
Rather than just trashing the women.
Welcome.
Too, because I think this illustrates the shift
Welcome
from hating it and saying this does not represent us to using it as a tool. Her Instagram is very interesting because she does react to some of the more questionable or like problematic elements that the show raises about the church. And I haven't watched all of the videos, obviously, but like there was one where one of the women on the show is sharing like, here's a really negative thing I experienced in the church. And rather than responding to that negative scene from the show, she just had a bad experience, which is like a really common way. Members often say like, well, your experience doesn't matter, you just had a bad experience. Or saying something like, well, she just had a bad
Welcome.
she just
Hello.
didn't break enough. Like, these are all
Welcome to dinner making.
Instead, she's like,
Welcome. How are you?
Sorry that she had that experience. That sounds really hard.
How are you doing?
Experience. And then she goes on to say, I'm also a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Here's my own positive experience. Here's how my experience has been with being a woman, growing up at the temple, motherhood, those kinds of things. And seeing this rise in the LDS content creators, the Mormon content creators, saying like, we should be grateful Taylor got us these views. Let's use this as an opportunity to explain the temple or garment.
Welcome. How are you?
And capitalize.
How are you doing?
To whether it's get more followers, get more views.
Ooh, that's spicy.
No press is bad press, monetization. Like, it's
how are we doing over
as
there?
an ex-member watching all of this play out on the internet, the transformation has
welcome. How are you?
I think all of this leads me to what I think Secret Lives of the Mormon Wives and now The Bachelorette has revealed about the church, which is that the church is actually lacking a true prophet.
How are you all doing?
A massive cultural moment for the church.
Everyone have their dinner?
The largest cultural moment the church has ever had.
Okay, that needs to boil for the quinoa, and the quinoa is going in for 15 minutes, and it's boiling.
There are obviously like content creators.
I use the little mesh thing to like strain it through for a minute, and I use this to clean off the mesh. It's a lot easier that way.
But like I said, the church has literally never acknowledged the show's presence in any official form. This is why I think there is a real power vacuum in the church. Because if you were a Mormon kid like me, you were raised in an ultra high demand and high control environment. Whether it was how to dress, how to speak, what media to watch, tons of rules, continually hearing about all of these expectations that you had as a Mormon youth. And then they changed the For the Strength of Youth. They laxed a lot of the rules. They even changed the design on the garments, so now you can show your shoulders. And even though they relaxed all of this expectation surrounding the standards for members of the church, I do think that it leaves a power vacuum as a whole for a lot of people, like looking for something to tell them how to live and who to be. We grew up with these strict rules in this strict environment. And now in this like pivotal moment for the church and the culture, the church is like basically silent. The new prophet is 93 years old, which is like not exactly the most relatable age.
Ooh, I gotta drink some of my green tea.
And for me, members are waking up every day like, how do I live? Who am I supposed to be? What standards am I supposed to follow? And in the
it's still very hot. Very, very hot.
I actually truly think that they are turning to influencers.
So I boiled these eggs for 5 minutes. Now they're soft boiled eggs.
It's the Secret Lives of
And I
Mormon
just
Wives.
let the water run.
Hannah Nealman, Valerie Nicole. These are
I
people
peel
who are
them
dropping advice and
into the little
and hot takes.
basket, whatever it's called.
There's some new content.
Thanks for
There's,
liking.
Like,
Thank
new
you.
information from these women. They're charismatic. They're hot. They're sexy. They're fun to listen to. And I can almost guarantee that more young women in the church could tell you like everything that happened in Secret Lives of Mormon Wives than they could tell you about what was said in general conference. I think Ballerina Farm is the one that the girlies are listening to, not the 12.
Hello,
I
welcome.
mean, even just thinking about the new garment.
How are you doing?
Like I said, they changed it so you can now wear tank tops. There were 4-hour-long lines to get this new underwear.
Hello.
There's a massive upheaval on social media. They crashed the church website. There's like an intense amount of discussion and discourse happening around them updating the modesty standards around the Mormon underwear. And did we hear about it in General Conference? Did they even give us a one sentence? There's like not even a head nod or a recognition. There's no discussion about it. I'm like, I feel like they're dropping the ball here. They don't know what to do.
Hello.
But you know where people were talking about?
Remember to comment.
Social media. You know who
Tell me something.
us how to feel about modesty and religious underwear and the standards of the church? The influencers on the internet. They were telling the membership, here's how I feel about modesty. Here's what modesty means to me. Here's an example of this. This is a comment from Instagram. I am also a member of the LDS Church, and in no way do I subscribe to modesty having anything to do with your clothing. Modesty is all about how you present yourself to other people as a daughter of God. He loves you in your tank top, yoga pants, or if you're
good sleeper, yes, no.
And honestly, the comments are kind of a dime a dozen. Modesty is how I carry myself. Modesty is how I feel about myself. Modesty is my demeanor. I don't know about you, but I feel like that sounds a lot more like a Taylor Francie Paul than it does sound like a President Oak. If you're not familiar with what he has said about modesty,
I don't know.
He said, young women, please understand that if you dress immodestly, you are magnifying this problem by becoming pornography to some of the men who see you. And despite all the posts like this, dudes who are the leaders of the church, we see women basically saying, I get to wear whatever I want. My relationship with God is between me and God. And like I said at the beginning, I think the tail is beginning to wag the dog. I think because of the church's silence in the face of this massive cultural revolution that the show created, there is going to be a voice that fills the power vacuum. And from where I'm standing, the voice does not seem to be President Oak. For most of its history, I do think the Mormon Church has controlled its own image. But what we see happening now is
giving eggs kind of takes a little while.
Now, what's controlling the image of the church is the young people of the church. It's the TikTokers, the Instagrammers, the reality TV stars. Those are the people who have become the face of the church, not the church's leaders. Who knows? Maybe by season 8 or 9 or 10 of the show, we'll see the 12 apostles doing a TikTok dance, trying to get more converts to the church because they're going to do whatever works. Thank you all so much for watching this week's video. Don't forget to like this video, drop a comment.
Okay, 3 eggs down.
About the reaction.
3 more to go.
To the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. If you have an apology to make to the women, if you crapped on them in the past, now's your chance. Sorry that we once said you were evil, and now we're saying thanks for the baptism. Though I don't think most of the people over here are the ones that were saying that to begin with. So thank you all so much for watching, and guys, I'll see you on next week.
What should we watch now?
There's any kids out there. Hi, my name is Orange Grandpa. So I wish I could just hear you say your last name, and then I would know who I will get married to. Where we learned to plan a meal and we made spaghetti, and the boys were playing basketball, and then at the end,
let's watch something else.
Spaghetti, we went and walked it over to the young men, and the young men.
That's a good one.
I'm Hetty Freed. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today on this channel, I want to talk about one of the most confusing places that we can arrive at inside a relationship, which is the place where things are not working, but we can't quite pinpoint why. And in this golden era of relationship content being abundant and free to access online, I do think that it can be really easy to assume that anything that goes wrong inside of a relationship goes wrong because of things like
Whoa! Wow.
or personality disorders, or one of those people not
that's awesome. That went by.
Right? But that's not the case all of the time. We're not always dealing with a skill deficit in relationships. Okay, so what we're going to go over today is basically 2 different axes that we tend to experience problems on inside of relationships, as well as how we can work with problems that fall into each category. So the axes that we're going to talk about are compatibility and skill.
Oh,
so
finally, there's still 8 minutes left on the quinoa. I'll give me some time to wash the dishes and have some
with the
tea.
whole system that is your life.
Green tea.
Okay, so not just do you like each other.
Do you like green
which
tea?
Which traits do you naturally bring out in each other?
or naturally suppress in each other. And how does that
So,
interact with both of
got
your
all my
lives?
shells from the
So this
eggies.
axis kind of looks at your relationship as an open system. Okay, so how does your influence on each other
Okay.
impact all of the other
I might
areas of your life for better or for worse? And then when we look at skill,
Dishwater
we're essentially
soon.
looking at the relationship as a closed system. So how good are the two at coordinating in a way that allows for conflict to actually get resolved, right? And for mutual goals to get accomplished and all of that fun stuff. So is the relationship itself spiraling more towards chaos and dysfunction as time goes on, or is it moving more towards cooperation and cohesion? Now, of course, compatibility and skill interact with
See
each
the
other,
soft-boiled
right? They're not
eggs?
totally separate constructs in reality.
They make like a
But
sauce
for
with
the purpose
the
of simplifying things a bit, we're going to go ahead and
with the,
briefly imagine
what's it
that
called?
they are.
yolk.
So if we were plotting compatibility and skill on a chart, it would look like this. So we can, of course, have a relationship between two people that are highly compatible and who also have really strong relational skills, which is generally where most of us want to be or are trying to get to, right? And these are the types of relationships where it generally feels like a no-brainer
See
to
this?
stick around and try to work through conflicts as they come up.
That's soft-boiled
And
eggs
then we have relationships that are high
spices,
compatibility, low.
and mashed
So these are generally
chickpeas.
relationships that work
Yes!
really,
Thank you
really
for
well.
liking.
They're
Thank
like
you.
absolute soulmate level
Thank you
matches
so much.
until the first conflict.
Thank you.
And
Oh,
then,
this is so good. There's
depending on
apple
how
cider
low
vinegar in
the
here.
skill level
Ooh.
is, things can go incredibly wrong.
And then I'm putting some
incredibly
quinoa in here later.
However,
I'm
there's
already
also the
dribbling.
relationships that stand the best chance
Ay, ay,
of
ay.
actually getting better if
Okay, I'll give it a
both people
try.
decide to work on increasing their skill level.
Mm,
Then we have relationships that are low compatibility, high
that's
skill.
good.
And I think that there can be a kind of
Very
healthy
good.
version of this and a
Very
toxic
yummy.
version of it, depending on why the people are in the relationship.
Cheers.
So this could be a relationship where two people have sort of outgrown their romantic feelings for each other. Maybe they got together and started a family really young, but they've made the decision to stay together for the kids. And maybe they're managing to do that in a way that's very respectful and loving. So even though it's not the most fulfilling relationship anymore, it's highly functional and it's serving an end that both people find it valuable. And then in its less healthy form, this could be a relationship
Okay,
that's stable and that's kind of working fine. But one
Can
of
I
those
do dishes
people
in
are
5 minutes?
massively
I guess we'll
persistent
see.
in order to make it work. Okay, so these relationships have a high potential to be quite draining because you're having to invest
Wash
a
up the
whole
sink a
bunch
little
of
bit.
skill and effort to keep something together that doesn't necessarily offer a strong return on investment. Right? You're pouring more energy into it than you're getting back from it, sometimes by a very significant margin. And then we of course have an incompatible low skill. And this I actually think is particularly interesting because you would think that
So good.
this would be the easiest type of relationship to reach. Right? Like, okay, we're not well matched for each other, and we don't know how to resolve conflict.
Look at all my
So
dishes.
What's the point of this? But I actually have a hypothesis that for some people, this can be the hardest relationship dynamic to reach because skill issues can
See
obscure
my
compatibility
dishes?
issues, sometimes for a really long time.
No.
So we might think, okay,
Lots
if
of
we
dishes.
could both just do the work and learn to communicate better, then we would have this really happy and wholesome relationship.
So good.
When in reality, there might be some really deep incompatibility issues that are happening under the surface that
Cheers.
are driving all of the conflict that's popping up in the first place.
Ah,
And
okay.
especially if this is something like a high conflict relationship, the release that comes from the fight
Milk.
against for those key in
It's actually not a lot of dishes.
which we might mistake. So this
Any
is where
dishes
we fall
feels
into
like
that
too
kind of
many
strong
dishes.
bonding territory. Potential. So I actually think that
Okay.
this category can be the hardest one to decision make around because sometimes it's going to take one or both people developing a relational skill in order to be able to see their compatibility issues clearly in the first place. And we're going to talk more about what that looks like later on in this video. Now, both of these axes are changeable to improve. But the way that we skill issues when they're with compatibility is actually quite different than the way we want to deal with compatibility issues. So figuring out which one of these things we're struggling with can go a really long way towards finding the best fit solution. Now, sometimes in life we get stuck in things like decision paralysis, not because we don't care about the outcome of our choices, but because dealing with them just takes up a lot of bandwidth. That can apply to the really big decisions in our lives, like what to do about our relationships, but it can also apply to taking care of our health. So I used to be the absolute worst at putting off doctor's appointments, not because I didn't want to go to them, but because the booking process itself just took up so much executive functioning. So finding the right kind of doctor, and figuring out whether they took my insurance, and then calling around to see if the doctors who actually met those criteria had any sort of availability in the upcoming days or weeks. The whole thing would just lead to decision for me. Which is why I'm excited to talk to you about the sponsor of today's video, ZocDoc. ZocDoc takes all of those micro decisions that need to get made when we're looking for a healthcare provider, and it collapses them into a simple and very straightforward process. ZocDoc is a free website that makes it easy to find and book high-quality in-network doctors based on your preferences. You can search by symptoms or by specialty. They have over 200 specialties covered. Filter by your insurance and read reviews for real. So you can get a sense of who someone actually is before you go. ZocDoc has over 150,000 providers across all 50 states, including primary care, dentistry, dermatology, eye care, mental health, you name it. You can see real-time availability and book instantly, and appointments typically happen really fast, often within 24 to 72 hours, sometimes even the same day, without ever needing to call anyone. So I personally always feel really relieved when I can finally get connected to a healthcare provider who actually listens and takes my concerns seriously. Because when that happens, we can usually get to the root of whatever is going on so much faster. So one thing that I really love about ZocDoc is the part where you can read real patient reviews on the platform.
Okay. Here you
You
go.
can start to get a sense of what different doctors are actually like before you ever book them. Now, you guys know that I'm always trying to
Okay, 50 seconds left. And then I'll put this over here. Can you see that? Oh, there you go. That's better. That's better.
Instantly book a top-rated in-network doctor near you. Thanks again to ZocDoc for sponsoring this channel and for helping to make healthcare easier for all of us. All right, now to get back to this question of compatibility versus skill. We're going to take a look at what both of those terms mean within the context that we're talking about them today. So my favorite way to think about compatibility is that it's what we have when one
That is close enough. Ooh, is that ever hot? Okay. So I got like that kind of thing there. So just like to just do it like this because it dries really quick. So like moisture work together, and then it my hand's a little wet, so it won't stay in my hand properly.
Really helps me to connect to my own feelings and express myself more honestly to them in return. That's high emotional compatibility. Or in romantic relationships, sexual compatibility might be like one person's desires naturally turning the other person on. So each one gets a little bit more excited the more the other one expresses themselves in that department. So when we have high compatibility, each person just being exactly who they are, without trying to change or monitor themselves in any significant way, enriches the other person's expression.
Okay, I'm closing the live stream pretty soon, so yeah, no one's really there to thank yet. To thank for watching. So yeah.
So intellectual incompatibility might look like one person's natural
Thanks for watching. No, I don't know. I'm not going yet. I was just thinking I'd probably go soon because I'm almost done this, but maybe I should do a taste test in front of the viewer. What do you think? This is like my final product. Oh, no one's there.
End up suppressing
No.
parts of our authentic selves, or subtly putting pressure on the
Ba,
other
ba, ba, ba,
person
ba.
to suppress the parts of themselves that we don't like.
Ba, ba, ba,
Especially
ba.
without particularly differentiating.
Ba, 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 da, da, ba, da,
On
da.
that topic, let's talk about skill issues.
Okay.
So in some ways, we can think of relational skill
Okay.
as what we reach for when
Let's
compatibility fails.
try to.
So it can be
Shucks.
pretty easy to feel happy and functional in a relationship with just about anybody.
What?
We
No.
face any major
Just around slowly.
experience.
That's one thing I've
All we
learned
have to do before
as an
that
adult
is
is like
enjoy all of the things that
slow
you
stirring. I always would
But
think for some reason I had to
couples
just
who know how to stay
whip it
healthy
around and
discovery
then stuff
of
would go all over the
relationships
place. And
are generally the couples who
I
have
still need to
high
practice going
relational
slow with
skill
this.
levels. So I kind of like to think of this as akin to how you can have no home repair skills, but still live pretty happily inside of a house for exactly as long as the pipes are not leaking for. But then once they do start to leak, it's pretty much just a matter of time before you either figure out how to fix it or have to move out. Now, to follow that metaphor, people who have limited handyman skills might also tend to ignore leaks for longer because they know that they don't know how to fix them. So at the beginning of a relationship, someone with low relational skills might start to sort of sense that they're not a great fit with someone in one particular area or multiple areas, but gloss right over that by convincing themselves that actually this area doesn't really matter to me. Right? Because again, they might see their options as find perfect compatibility or don't have
Holy
a
shucks, I'm bringing out 5.
find a house that requires no upkeep or don't move in. So they either leave relationships at the first sign of things needing repair, and I'm looking at you,
Okay.
avoidant attachers,
Yeah.
thinking, well, surely someday I'll find a house that will never need
Someday.
right? Or they'll
Someday.
idealize the weak, and now I'm looking at you,
Okay.
anxious attachers, and convince themselves that actually I sort of like the way it feels when water drips onto my face in the middle of the night. It's like living under a waterfall. But all of this is to say that what relational skill helps us to navigate
Okay, let's give it a little whirl here.
when they do show up in a relationship, including differences that might feel really hard to bridge. So, to follow the metaphor for just one more minute, secure attachers tend to come into relationships knowing that they're wearing a tool belt. And so, as they're getting to know someone, they're not turning a blind eye to the areas where they're incompatible, nor are they instantly qualifying people off of small differences. They're going, okay,
Give it a bit of a break.
incompatibilities versus compatibilities do we have? And how hard would it be to bridge across those areas
Okay.
that we are different?
Okay.
So relational
I'm making popcorn in
skills,
a little while
which are
here.
those things that secure attachers assume they're going to have to bring into relationships in order to make them last. Can be things like self-regulating around the areas of a relationship that feel disappointing and making wise decisions about how we're going to handle that disappointment. So knowing or reality testing which problems can be collectively worked on as a team versus which ones are unlikely to get resolved. And deciding whether we can work around those unresolvable issues long term or if they're deal breakers. That's one super important relational skill. Another one is being able to diagnose problems accurately. So in low skill relationships, we tend to see problems either never getting addressed or getting dragged on for ages because the problem that keeps getting brought up in the video is not actually the hard problem.
That's getting a little too
So,
hot.
for example, if two people are low on differentiation, they can spend years arguing about what the right way to be in a relationship is, while totally missing that the real problem is just a basic incompatibility they have.
Okay, I want
Like
this
maybe
out.
not knowing how to have a satisfying sex
want
life when they have those desires. Or not knowing how to create emotional intimacy when one person wants to do a lot more emotional.
Okay, we're making popcorn.
than the other.
Are you ready for popcorn? Okay, this is very hot. This might not turn out very well. I usually can make it work, but sometimes it just does not work. Alright, so that is popcorn on the go.
It's not actually getting addressed at its core, right? The better that we get at building that muscle of self-awareness and of mentalizing and seeing both ourselves and the other person more clearly, the more capable we become of testing things like mindful projecting, especially when it's activated, and we start to get at the root of what's actually going on alone.
So I'm putting in garlic powder, chili powder, and then extra virgin olive oil. So what I do is I put a little dollop or whatever in there, move it around a bit. Oh, good, it's popping really well. Great. Oh dear. Okay.
Issues that come up in the relationship get by surfacing the needs that exist on both sides. And then
Oh, there's still some kernels down there. I can hear them.
Here's the interesting thing about this. Contrary to what
Okay. Turn that off. Then I add a little bit of oil here. That's too much oil. That's okay though. I can just make less later. There you go. Okay. And then I get a little garlic powder. And then a little chili powder. And then put the lid on. And then I just give it a little shake.
that's actually reasonable. Even though both of them
This is the nicely coated
incredibly toxic if
popcorn.
partner who is less
Let's see how it tastes.
So none of these quadrants actually lead to a necessary particular outcome, right? It's not like you're doomed if you find yourself in any quadrant other than the high compatibility.
Yeah, that's good.
Having either one of these
It's
variables
good.
satisfied will do a lot of heavy lifting for the other.
Okay, well, thank you for joining me and liking.
So if we zoom
Thank you
out,
for liking. Thank you for subscribing.
is because we can
Thank you
spend
for
a real long
commenting.
time
Thank you for
trying to solve
being.
relationships.
Thank you,
So
thank you,
we can
thank
assume that one thing
you.
we come across is a skill issue and something that we can fix with more awareness or better communication or effort, when in reality, what we're dealing with is imbalance in compatibility.
Washing the last
Or we can assume
of
that
my
everything
dishes
is a
here.
compatibility issue and that we're just not aligned. When in reality, we're lacking the skills to navigate differences that actually could be working. And those are the mistakes.
I'm gonna let that soak for a while.
Because if you're trying
Okay,
to solve
okay.
the
Well,
issue with a skill, you can end up overexerting yourself in
oh,
relationships.
I need to
that's
correct my
never gonna be
posture.
able to give you back what you're putting
It's
into.
crazy.
And if you're trying to solve a skill issue by leap,
Ooh. Boo doo doo. Doo doo doo. So it turned out really well. Popcorn's good. It's really good. I like to have the popcorn as an appetizer, because then when I eat my food, like, I'll feel like I'm already pretty full, and then it'll actually leave me with some dinner left over for tomorrow. And that's good. That means I don't need to do more cooking until a little bit later. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. I'm thinking of doing a sleep stream. And have a good night.